Hello, I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast number 3 for October. Perennials. Now, there are a lot of them. There are some old ones. There are some new ones. And old and new is a relative term. You know how they bring back the old and it's all new again? Well, a lot of suppliers will go in and they will wait for the new ones to prove themselves before they offer them to the public. And Vanhof Blokker is actually known to do this. They like to go in and take some of the older varieties, and we're only talking a year or two old, ones that have proven themselves to do well in the garden. So when they say it's new, everything is relative. You may have seen and heard some of these plants that they have new for 2014, but I'm going to sort of review them. And with this idea that these are the ones that are new to them, and because they sell only wholesale, it means you will find them in your garden centers in your area. So let's start with an older variety. Everybody knows Achillea. It's a plant that really likes to be out in full sun, rich, moist, well-drained soil, and they do come in different colors and different heights. The one we're going to talk about is Walther Funk, and it is going to be 50 centimeters tall. It has orange flowers, which fade to a cream as they get older. The foliage, of course, like most Achilleas, are actually fragrant, and it's a silvery gray foliage. It's hardy to zone 3, so we're talking tough here, okay? So, well, you can get ones in deep rose, light yellow, Eve red, and a lot of others. Terracotta was one that was really hot for a number of years, many years ago. And, of course, we've got the pinks and the yellows, like the old variety when I went to school. Moonshine and Coronation Gold. I mean, they've been around almost as long as me. So these are new, or at least that one is, but there are others. Now, we know anemones, and we like the anemone hybrids. These are going to bloom in the fall. The new one for Vanhof Blokker is White Swan. Now, here's the nice thing about White Swan. It's white on the top, but the undersides of the petals are blue. And that makes it a little different. 60 centimeters. It's very free flowering. And of course, it's got a compact growth habit, and it's hardy to zone 4. Remember, it blooms in the fall, and it belongs in the middle of your sunny borders. It's always a good one, and it's easy to go and put into almost every garden. Hey, first of all, it's compact, clumpy, and it's white with a little bit of blue. So it will work well in a white garden. It will work well into a perennial border, etc. There is an aster that's new to them, and I hesitate to do this because I'm not too big on asters. They bloom in the fall, and that's it. But I like the name of it. It's called Lady in Black. You're gonna, when you see this in bloom, you're gonna wonder why. First of all, it's only the buds as they start to open that are black in the center, white on the outside, and when they open up, they're pink and white. Okay, and it's going to be 90 centimeters tall, big, open, and probably not my favorite. Okay, Astilbes have been around for a long time, and they have some of the newer varieties. And Astilbes can, depending on the variety and the conditions, can be in full sun, part shade, or full shade, and all do well. They generally all like moist soils that are rich, organic, and the ones that take more sun generally require higher moisture levels. So that's something to consider. The new one for Vanhof Blokker is going to be for 2014 is Astilbe Mighty Pip. Now it's 115 centimeters tall. That's big for an Astilbe. It's a very tall, strong, robust growth habit. It has large salmon pink blooms and a hardy to zone 3. So hardiness is not an issue here. They have one and I'm going to try and get this correctly pronounced. This is Stilby, is called Young Geek Salmon. Now, it's 50 centimeters tall. It's a dense salmon, feathery plumes. It reminds me sort of cotton candy. Long-lasting blooming season, deeply low foliage, which means it's very distinctive foliage on it as well. And again, middle of a sunny border or even semi-shade. This one will work on very well. So that's one of the ones that I would put into a garden, that one there. There are begonias, but I'm not big on begonias, mainly because most of them are done as bulbs, and it's just cheaper to buy them. If you're going to make your own basket, just buy the baskets. There's a Bergenia. Now, Bergenia has a common name known as pig squeak. Yes, pig squeak. Winter glut, which is a very dark pink. It has big leathery green foliage, and in the fall and winter, the foliage turns shades of red. Of course, the stems come up in the spring, and they have red stems, and they have these beautiful dark pink flowers very, very early in the season, which is why I prefer to call it Bergenia. It's such a nice plant. Why would you call it pig squeak? Why do they call it pig squeak? I should tell you. If you take the leaves and you rub them together, it sounds like a pig squealing. Okay? I know, you're thrilled to know that. Just remember, try that one in the trivia game. Brunarias, I do like brunarias for shade. There is one they're going to use. It's a macrophylla variety called Sea Heart, and the reason I like this one is the venation on it is a very dark green, very, very heavily venated, and of course it's got the contrasting silvery white in between. So as a compact 30 centimeter plant, thick foliage, it holds up better in the heat and the humidity. Sounds like a good plant for the Niagara area. Blue, pink flowers as well, and hardy to zone 4. More traditional one called Silver Heart. Again, this one has the green venation, but it is less predominant. It's more silver hearts. The thick foliage does again stand up to heat and humidity. And it has cobalt blue flowers, hardy to zone 4 and 30 centimeters. So there's a couple of good ones. They're going to give you a good color in the shade. Caladiums. Now, people do not use caladiums well in the garden. These make excellent ground covers under trees where there is good, deep, rich, moist, organic matter type soils. Some are better than others outdoors, but what you'll find is this will sort of go, oh, I've never seen that before, because they're not commonly used that way. One of the new varieties Vanhof Blokker has is called Pink Beauty. It looks very similar to some of the older varieties that have been around a long time, and that will be a mistake that you make. It's got the blush of pink over the green, okay, typical big foliage, sort of spathe-like, like a shield. It's excellent for shady borders and in pots. Right there. Key. That's the one and the best one for you using it outdoors. There are 3 others that they do. One is, and each of them are dwarf, which is a good thing. Now, white. Okay, so you want white and green. Okay, then you want Candidum Junior. 25 centimeters, white foliage, green netted venation. It is a little shorter than some of the older varieties and grows in deep shade. These come from a little corm, and they will have to be lifted and will not take frost. They don't tolerate drought well, so remember that as well. Gingerland, basically the green with the white, and then spotted, irregularly, randomly red spots. Hardy to zone 11, more sun tolerant than most. So there's a good one right there. The last of the caladiums is Miss Muffet. Oh, we're gonna have Miss Muffet. Okay, in any kid's garden. Chartreuse foliage, red spots, really going to stand out, sun tolerant, and up to 30 centimeters. So there you go. Unusual plants you can lift, put out in the garden. Actually, I would start these in the house probably in, I would say, late March, early April in containers. And I would also try and use a little bit of a larger jiffy pot that might be able to be dropped right into the garden, so less shock in going. They do have some new callas. Now, callas I prefer to do in a garden as a pot plant. These are, well, for a lot of people, they're called dead people's flowers, but the colors are so fabulous. The pinks, the yellows, the oranges, the rust, the reds. And they've got the new Captain series, which is Reno, which is the very dark red, Morelli, which is the very beautiful dark yellow, and of course Moreo, which is the deep pink. They all sort of look like that tubular flower. Each of the bulbs gets about 4 to 6 blooms per tuber. Okay, so that's not bad. So you want to plant several tubers into a pot, sink it in the garden, or you can just and lift it and bring it in for the winter, or you can just plant them direct, but I prefer to pot or use them as a pot culture in a semi-shade to full sun situation where they're kept moist. I'm not a big fan of campanulas. Some of them are good, but most of them are aggressive, so I'm not going to tell you about those. There is a canna called Perco. Perco is a red. It's got the, let's qualify that red. It's more pink than red. How about a rosy red or pinky red? That's probably more accurate. Clear dark green, leathery foliage, compact. That's what I like. 120 centimeters, and of course it is a rhizome, which has to be lifted or bring in the whole pot into a heated or semi-heated garage, etc. They do have another yellow, which sort of follows that type of size, but much, much smaller. When we're talking about size, we're talking about the big leaves, flowers, yellow, a little bit of an orange in them, and 60 centimeters tall. Excellent for containers. This is a nice one for that. And of course, it gives you good color and difference. Be nice in the center of a container mixed with other things. There's some of the Coreopsis, which are kind of neat, but who knows. The clematis they've got are, and I want to point this out, most of the new clematises they have are the Evanston hybrids. Anything that has been bred by Evanston is a clematis worthy of your inspection to decide whether or not you really do like it. Reason is that this is the best breeder with the best breeding stock in the world. He is doing better work than anyone else has in all the times that we've had clematis in our garden. And therefore, anytime you see an Evanston clematis, you need to consider it as a brilliant addition to your garden. Josephine is one of them. It's not new to them, but it's one that we've had success with in my garden, so I'll throw that one in there. Shimmer is a new one from Evanston and Vanhof and Blokker. 150 centimeters tall. 18 centimeter diameter flowers that are in that deep lilac blue. It's a little paler in the center, and it fades to a light blue, but 18 centimeters across. Beauty. There is Damitia. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Diamantina. Okay, I'll get it right. Diamantina. This one is an Evanston hybrid. Very free flowering variety. Pom-pom blue flowers, double, that last up to 4 weeks. A 250 centimeter plant, excellent as well. A new one for them, which is not in Evanston, it's Mrs. Roberts Byron. And it's very small. This is clouds of blue flowers in late summer. I grow one of these. I grow it on actually a wooden staircase going up to a fence in my garden, and it just covers it each and every year. You have a hard time finding the staircase, and it is just covered in blue flowers as well. So those are some of the new plants from Vanhof Blokker, new being in quotations, different and tried and true perennials and clematis for your garden in 2014. I'm Bruce Zimmerman. This is the Open Line Garden Show podcast number 3 for October.